Hi, everybody. It's Mick Levinskas here from Climate Salad, and we're joined by the CTO of MGA Thermal, Alex Post. Alex, how you going?
Well, thanks, Mick. Great to talk to you.
Yeah, thanks for coming on. Whereabouts are you in the world?
I'm in Newcastle at the moment at my home, enjoying my fourth day of lockdown right now.
Fourth day of lockdown. Now, we want to hear a bit about MGA Thermal. I know you've just done a cap raise, but let's start by telling us what is MGA Thermal and what does it do?
Okay, so MGA, a startup company, we spun out of the University of Newcastle here in New South Wales about 2 years ago. And we make a thermal energy storage material. So a group of mechanical engineers and material scientists in our research group were sitting around looking at this energy storage problem, saying, we know that we're moving to renewables, so energy storage is going to become a huge issue. And the alternatives that we're looking at quite often make use of readily available materials, but use a lot of clever engineering around those materials, which ends up being quite expensive to store energy. And we've approached it from a material science perspective of saying, instead of grabbing a material that we already have and using engineering to make that into a solution, let's actually design a new material that does the job. So we looked at, starting ingredients that were cheap, readily available, non-toxic, all that sort of stuff, because obviously if we're going to need to store energy at a huge scale, it needs to be cheap. And we came up with this idea of miscibility gap alloys, or MGAs. And what that actually means is miscibility gap basically just means that you have two materials that don't mix. So that means immiscible. Now we use an analogy of a chocolate chip muffin to describe our bricks that we make. And basically, when you heat up a chocolate chip muffin in the microwave, you get your chocolate chips melting, but the body of the muffin or all the dough stays solid and actually encapsulates all those chocolate chips and holds them in place, even though they're liquid chocolate. And you find when you bite into one and burn your mouth on it, that they do actually store quite a lot of thermal energy. And that's because when something's a liquid and it goes through a phase change and freezes into a solid, there's a lot of energy stored in that process. So we use that exact same principle, but with liquid metal encapsulated in a graphite matrix.
Wow, that's fantastic. I love that the choc chip muffin analogy. It does go wildly against the salad love of climate salad, but we need to find a salad analogy for you maybe. But thanks for that. It's great to get that intro, and I know there's a lot more on the web that we'll link to. What's been the response of? So obviously this is a very new material that can solve a big problem, but it's got to go into a world that already has a lot of infrastructure and legacy around energy. What's been the interest and response from people around the world about the opportunities to use this product?
I think we've been pretty well received. So some big recent news: we've just closed an investment round for 8 million Australian dollars, and that's basically because we've had a whole bunch of international demand for our material. This comes from people looking to retrofit it into coal-fired power stations, where they want to use our material to store heat that comes from renewables and then run a power station off that rather than burning coal. There's some other guys that want to do off-grid stuff with microgrids and remote communities and that kind of thing. So basically the position that we're in now is just trying to scale up our manufacture of our material to meet this international demand. So, energy storage is just such a huge issue at the moment that, the demand's been massive.
That's fantastic. Really good to have that. The fact that you've got getting a lot of global interest as well. And can you tell me about, from the environmental perspective, what are the big climate advantages of this product?
Okay, so we've tried to construct our bricks out of sustainable materials as much as possible. So we're using aluminium to store energy. It's the phase change material that melts like the chocolate in our chocolate chip muffin. That can come from recycled supplies of aluminium. So, we can use relatively low grade scrap, we expect. It's still something that we're experimenting with, but because our only real requirement for it is that it melts at about the right temperature, and that it doesn't interact with this carbon matrix, we actually don't care all that much about the purity of the aluminium that we're using. It doesn't have to be a particularly high grade. And the other big component of our brick is obviously the carbon or the graphite, which can come from a whole bunch of sustainable sources. You know, we're looking at using recycled scrap graphite anodes from smelters, or even from batteries. Possibly one day I'd love to be able to use like captured carbon from the atmosphere, but I think that tech is still under development as well. But we're very much trying to develop a product which stores energy, but is itself made out of sustainable materials as well.
That's fantastic, and great news on the capital raise. I think it's showing that there's a lot of interest in good investors who are passionate about this space and supporting it with a real solid amount of capital. And I think you've got a good pedigree of investors there with Main Sequence, Alberts, and a few others, which is excellent. And I think that the other big exciting thing about MGA is that you're a really successful spin out of university research, and it's something Australia has done, and I think hopefully in climate tech we can do a lot more of that. Do you have any insights that you're open to share with us about that process? It's obviously a big step from putting your minds to work about solving a problem and stepping out into a company. How's that been for you and the team, and how do you think Australia can do more of that?
I absolutely love it. So I never thought that I would be, well, I mean, basically my career, every step of it has been a surprise to me. You know, I never thought I'd be doing a PhD. I never thought after I finished that PhD that I'd be stepping out and founding a company, almost until it happened. So I've just continuously been blindsided by the directions my career has taken. But I've really found it immensely rewarding. So researching something in a lab is great, and developing and inventing new things is fantastic. I absolutely love that. But there's something that comes along with actually grabbing that thing that's been invented and seeing how it fits into the real world, and talking with the people that are actually going to be using it, developing all of the business structures around how to use it, and seeing it physically built and in operation. You just can't overstate how rewarding that feels to be involved throughout that process. So I really love the idea of seeing this innovation come out of Australia's universities and labs into the real world. I think we invent some fantastic stuff here in Australia. I mean, just look at the stuff that's coming out of CSIRO, or UNSW has been a world leader in PV efficiency for decades. So getting that out of the lab into the real world is a huge step, and I think one that we're very rapidly learning how to do here in Australia.
Oh, fantastic. Yep, want to see much more of that. I think we've got some big problems to solve and some amazing people to go and do it. And I think if we can combine research and that startup mentality like we've seen here in MGA Thermal, and do that over and over and over again all across Australia, then I think we can play a big role and create thousands of jobs. How many people at MGA so far?
We just hired our 10th employee last week.
Wow.
And on the back of this capital raise, we're looking to bring on another 10 people in the next 12 months.
Fantastic. And look, 20 people may not sound like a lot, but I think it's going to grow and grow and grow. And I think, as we said, there's thousands of opportunities for this. So definitely a massive opportunity to use climate tech to create the companies of the future in a zero carbon economy, but also the jobs of the near future. So these are real opportunities here. So Alex, thanks so much for sharing. Before you go, I know I gave you a little bit of a warning beforehand, but we need to know what your favorite salad is. And it could be a hamburger, and I know you're probably eating a lot of pizza, working hard in the startup. But what's your favorite salad?
It's a tough question. This is going to sound terrible for my health, but I'm not a big salad eater. I mean, I love just grabbing the occasional like lettuce leaf and having it alongside my pizza or something like that. I'm probably going to have to go with like a bacon salad, if that's a thing. Just
bacon salad.
Heaps of bacon in a bowl.
Yeah.
Probably with some potato, some herbs, and some mushrooms. I reckon you can't go past that.
Excellent. Look, before your next venture round, we're gonna have to work with you on your salad, because we need to Alex, we need sustainability of your business and of the environment and energy, but we also need sustainability of you as a person.
That's true. That's true.
So look, and obviously you're younger than me, so you get to have that type of diet. But hey, Alex, thanks so much for sharing, mate. Really great to hear from you and the team. Great progress with the work and what you've developed and the customer interest globally, and we hope that succeeds. Thanks so much for sharing.
Thanks, Mick. It was great to talk to you.